I've gone to sit downs. When you get in there, you don't know if you're going to walk out of there. That's just how they operate. You don't know if you're going to walk out. I've known guys that were like, hey, I'm going to a sit down, and then they're gone. There's another story with this guy, Frankie. I was running this social club. Comes to my house. It was like 8 in the morning. My mom, I just wake up like, and Frankie's in my bedroom. I was like, Frankie, what are you doing here? He goes, come on, get dressed. I said, can I ask you what's going on? My mom's now worried. My mom comes in, she's talking to me in Romanian. What's going on? What's going on? I turn it in Serbian because Romanian is a Romance language like Italian. Frankie can pick up on it. So I was just like in Serbian. I go, I need to go with him somewhere. She's like, are you coming back? You know? But she said in Romanian, are you coming back? And he goes, oh, Signora, don't worry. He's coming back. I'm like, that's bullshit.
But that doesn't necessarily mean anything coming from that guy.
I was just like, I was just whatever. I went to open up my closet. And back then, Sergio Tacchini's were really popular, like the tracksuits. So he's picking out a tracksuit. He goes, hey, wear this. You're going to look good. I'm like, this guy's prepping me for, I don't know for what. So I was like, can I just ask you, what do you want from me? He's like, no, I go to grab my gun. He goes, you're not going to need that. Now I'm even more worried. I get in the car. I'm shitting pickles in the car. These other two guys ain't saying shit to me, and I'm just like sitting there in the passenger seat. I'm going, I know this guy got a gun to my back. That's what I'm going through my head. We get to the social club. He goes, open it up. I open it up. He's like, yeah, take all the video cassettes. I say, what? Now he pulls the gate down from the inside. I'm like, fuck. That's a straight up like mob hit. I'm like, they're trying to muffle the sound, whatever. And I'm like grabbing the video cassettes, putting them in garbage bags. Now I'm a couple of, fall down. I'm like trying to bend over, pick them up. They're all hovering over me like this and over here. I'm just like, yo, I go, I got to ask before I move anymore, what the am I here for? Why am I bagging all these video cassettes? He goes, because you need to get rid of these video cassettes. This is going to be my social club from now on. You tell your boy in jail I took the spot over. If he doesn't like it, he come fucking see me when he gets out. I said, I don't give a shit. I just told to open up, let the social club run, let the video store on the side run. I said, I really don't give a rat's ass. This is not my business. And I'm just like, you want to give me a hand with this shit? He goes, oh yeah, sure. Now they're helping me. And he goes, hey, what are you so nervous about any which way? You were like sweating there for a minute.
He had to know. He knew. Yeah.
He was, because he goes, well, what'd you think? You were going to get whacked? I said, honestly, yeah. And he goes, hey, he thought he was going to get whacked. Typical mob scene type shit. It's insane. That's just like one of the stories. I've had like 5 of those with other people. It's an uneasy feeling, That's why I got the nickname Pedge 2 Guns. I'd have 2 guns on me at all times. You know what I mean? So right. It'd be like, if I can't get this one, I get the one on my ankle. I just didn't trust the situations I was in. And when you're in that, you've done crime, but my crime.
I'm filling out paperwork, bro.
Yeah. You're filling out paperwork, but
mortgage brokers don't shoot each other.
Yeah, but see, like with these people, I just got so deep in that life. You see that shooting in front of you. It's like watching a TV show, like watching Breaking Bad, and the guy shoots the guy. My son has asked me growing up, he goes, Dad, what is it like when you see somebody? Nothing. It's cold. It's like, it doesn't, I could walk over a body. It could be my friend. It could be my friend for real. It could be my friend. He just got shot. And if it's me or him and I have to hightail out of it because the cops are on their way, I'll be like, yo, nice knowing you. Boom, I'm out. Yeah. I'll cry about it later at the funeral.
So you're in your 20s.
20s.
This is your 20s.
20s, yeah.
And what's your legit? Because a lot of the guys, they have like they'll have like a legitimate, like they'll be like a butcher, but then at night they're pushing trucks.
I was working in the maintenance field in the city where I told you before, in the garment district. I was working there. That was a night job. It was perfect for me because I'd go in punching at 5, I'd leave at 11, I'd get to go to the social clubs and hang out till 4 or 5 in the morning, and that's where you hobnob with everybody. That's where you meet everybody. You playing cards. There's an Italian game called Scupa. It's in a Sicilian game. So you play that. I learned how to play that. Then we used to play Blood, which is kind of like a rummy, like you play in jail. It's the same shit. And we would sit there and play, and you'd wait for somebody to come in, just for that one moment to rub elbows with a made guy, to rub elbows with somebody who's got a heist coming up or something. They need an extra person or whatever it is. Or if somebody comes in and says, hey, my security company works here and here. There's a jewelry store. Yeah, you get the gist now. So for me, it was a perfect opportunity to rub elbows with everybody. So my legitimate thing was I was working in maintenance, and I kept that. It was good benefits. It was a union job. It was phenomenal, But there was times where, I couldn't make bail. I got caught for something, it was a week. 2 weeks at the most that I was ever in. Those 2 weeks were not fun. I mean, Rikers Island. I'm pretty sure you heard stories about it. It was insane, and it was run by the blacks and the Hispanics, and you had the Latin Kings and the Nietas and whatever. And you go in there thinking on the street Italian is something. I go in there acting like I'm a cuisine. I'm like, hey, how you doing? That doesn't fly when you get into jail. When you get into jail, it's all like you can figure. They'll ask you where you from, what's your hood, and you say Bushwick, or you say Ridgewood. You say, oh yeah, this guy. And that's what saves you. You'd be like, oh, I know Benji. I know Casper. I know this one. They'd be like, oh, yeah? They get right on the phone, and they'd be like, yo, he's on the up and up. Then they come give you like a little package. So you know what I'm saying? They take care. You know the
like
deal.
When you go to prison, the guys will come
Exactly.
in.
So, then they'd be talking and finding out who you really are. Like, what do you, like, what's your name in the street? And these guys would come back. Oh, he's good. Take care of him, Then they came and they asked me, because I was there for 2 weeks, like I said, and like the fourth day they came and they asked me, they're like, you want to run with us? So I thought they were gonna like right away brand me or something. Like I didn't know what to expect, and they were just like, nah, you just run with us, but if we tell you to jump, you jump. You don't ask, you just go high. I was like, all right, I'll do whatever. So I was with the Nietas, and they were always at war with Latin Kings, so I was kind of nervous because to me it all looks the same. The language is all the same, but it's not. It's each clique is different and whatever. So,
what were you in there for 2 weeks for?
Gun possession, stolen car, and I don't know, whatever else they found, some in the car or something like that. So, they just drum up charges.
So the car wasn't stolen?
Yeah, it was, but
that's not a drummed up charge.
But it wasn't hot wired. I had keys, so. It's just like
it's different.
It's different. Well, it was in my eyes, and I kept I actually beat the grand larceny auto because I was like, it was my friend's car, what's your friend's name? And I'm like, Joe Blow. And they're like, because I knew to look for the registration, and I would lie and say the owner of that car was drunk, told me to take the car, drive him home, take the car, and then use it for my whatever I need, and then come back and leave it by his house or whatever, and. That worked once, that worked twice, wrong place, wrong time, or whatever scenario. But the one time that I got a judge, she was ruthless. She didn't want to hear it.
Right.
She's like, so I look at your docket and I see that you got 1 GLA, 2 GLAs. Now you're going to come with a third and it's the same story, same song and dance? She goes, no, you're guilty. I got lucky. My lawyer got me 5 years probation on that. But dude, 5 years probation. You got to be super careful. You get jammed up on something, they're going to just throw both charges at you or whatever future charge you got.
Most homeowners think they're protected because at the closing of their home, they were issued title insurance. That title insurance only protects you up to the day you purchase your house. I could literally steal your home the day after you close on the property. So your title insurance policy doesn't protect you from someone like me. Stealing a home title is extremely easy. It's a one-page document that you have to file at the courthouse. 1 page. No one can stop me from stealing your title. But Home Title Lock would prevent me from utilizing the false filing to my advantage to get what I want, which is your money and your equity. You can sign up today at HometitleLock.com/Matt Cox and use the promo code MATT30 for 30 days of protection for free and a comprehensive title scan to make sure that you're not already a victim.
Started to, at that time, again, go back to Bosnia. Because
why?
Personal reasons. Let's just say shit happened in the streets and feds were coming around, regular police were coming around asking questions, knocking on doors.
Felt like you didn't want to be there.
Yeah, I didn't want to be there. I just didn't want to answer questions. It was one of those times where I didn't want to divulge any information because it would have put somebody away, and I just figured if I'm not around, he could, they'll find somebody else eventually, to turn on him. I don't believe in ratting.
No, you don't. Yeah, explain to me when the feds came around looking for me. I didn't want to be there either. I don't want to have that. I don't want to have a conversation with them.
Yeah, I mean it's.
Of course, they were looking for me.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean there was one in 90. I'm gonna say 94. Could be 93. There was this guy Thomas Shine. He was a Serbian gypsy. He was from Vancouver. Not from Vancouver. I'm sorry, from Montreal. And he comes from a very well-known family. Drug dealers, they dabble in everything. Drugs, fake currency, those, what do you call those? Bearer bonds, whatever. And he was doing cars. He was doing cars with this other guy that I was in his crew, but I walked away from that guy because the guy was a piece of shit. He stole all my contacts. Every time I had a scam going, he got in on my scam, stole my whole scam, got everybody that was working with me to go against me. Long story short, piece of shit. So he was working with that guy, and he would come to me in his Serbian social club, and he'd be like, hey, this guy's asking this much for cars. Can you get cheaper? I said, first, you made a deal with this guy, you stick with him. I don't want to be a part of this shit. I said, second, he's my arch nemesis. I don't want to deal with him. If I see him, it's hi and goodbye, I go, he's a scumbag. I got nothing nice to say about him. So Frankie, again, was in this clique. And I just remember one day, Frankie pulling up with this guy, and Frankie just saying the words, I'm going to cut your head off. And I just looked, and I warned Toma. I said, yo, now that the Italians are involved, I don't know how we would operate and how we would make somebody disappear. I said, this guy just gave you green light. I don't know what you did to aggravate him or piss him the off, but you need to square this shit off. Don't come around here because it could happen here right in front of us.
Right.
2 days later, I come home, whatever, and I see there's police down the block from my house, and I lived off of Main Avenue, like up the block off of Main Avenue. And down there was like all warehouses, a block down. So I see the cops like yellow tape the area off. I'm not thinking anything of it. Next day, my bell's ringing. 8 in the morning, bang, 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 banging on the door. I come out, I'm like, yeah, there's a Fed, there's cops, and just like, you so-and-so? I'm like, yeah, I'm Predrag Rajkovic, yeah. He's like, where were you last night? I was like, at the social club, this and that. You know a guy named Thomas Shine? I said, yeah, here and there. They have black and white surveillance. They just whip it out and they show, well, you're hugging this guy and kissing him on the cheek. I go, I said I know him. He goes, no, you were making like you didn't know him. I'm like, no, I know him,
Yeah.
So were you with him last night? I was just like, no, 2 days ago. They pull out black and white photos out in front of that Serbian bar, And I'm just like, okay, so what's the deal? He goes, you don't know that he's down the block? I said, what do you mean he's down the block? They're pointing down the block. Now there's, ambulances, the coroner's there.
You're putting it together now.
I just put it together, and I was just like, I lawyered up. I was just like, I ain't got nothing to say. They're like, you got nothing to say? And, they try to press you even after you say you got nothing to say. And I just was like, no, I got nothing to say. They just asked one other question was, where's Frankie Fertolino? So I don't know. I really don't. I go, I see him here and there. I don't know. I go, I'm not answering no more questions. Frankie ended up, it was him. He did it.
Yeah.
But it was a drug deal gone bad, supposedly. I don't know. We didn't know until like a year after the details to come out. Frankie disappeared. Frankie said he went back to Sicily or something like that.
But you went to...
well, after a few months, I took off, went to Bosnia.
Okay.
I mean, it was just, I figured, I got connections over there. Because when I was in my teens, I met a famous Serbian gangster who was at one time head of the Irish mob, the Westies, Bosko Radoncic. So I got introduced to him in my early teens, and he took a liking to me. And I would see him in the Serbian social clubs. He was connected to John Gotti and the Gambinos. So I started doing some things, and I'd go by his social club in Manhattan, and I started talking to him. And, I would frequent places that he would frequent just to rub elbows with him. And I would be like, hey, did you hear? Of course, he heard in the Serbian community I was boosting cars. I had this great scam on boosting cars. And it became to the point where if everybody in the community knows that I'm doing this, well, the police are going to get wind of it soon. Somebody's going to get pinched for something, and they're going to give me up. We were doing cars with keys.
Yeah, I was going to say, what is this?
Yeah, we were doing cars with keys. We had a guy in motor vehicles. So the guy in motor vehicles would give us a fake driver's license. Then we also had another guy that was a great counterfeiter, and he would make driver's licenses. And he would make registrations and everything. So I came up with the idea, if somebody was to go to a dealer, say Mercedes-Benz, because I had a friend, Serbian guy, who worked as a head mechanic at Porsche Audi in Long Island. So he told me, he goes, oh yeah, the key costs like $95. All they ask for is a registration and a driver's license. my head is clicking. If we're boosting cars, high-end cars, constantly from people's driveways, we have to get a slapjack to pull out the ignition, and put a screwdriver in there or put a pair of pliers and, get it going, I said, what if we got keys?
Right.
Now we're getting orders from people in the neighborhood like, oh, I just smacked up my 560. I need, parts. What color do you want? I'll get you the exact color. So with the key, you just walk over, doop, doop, and just get in and drive away, like no problem. So we started getting everybody fake IDs, and we would go and scope the area out, get the VIN numbers, write them all down, go back and go to the guy in the motor vehicles and say, can you give us a printout of this and this? The guy would, with the fake IDs, he would give us the name that we wanted. Once we got the registration, we knew who the owner was. We would take the owner's name, put it on that driver's license. They would never check to see how old you are. They would never check anything. As long as you got a nice suit on. We even would pay people. Like, hey, you want to make a quick $250? Just go in there, give him this license, come take a picture at this guy's house. Guys were desperate, they would do it. At one point, we had 125 keys. So 125 keys, and we get 5,000 a car.
Nice.
On the quick. So it got to the point that everybody in the neighborhood knew about this scam. And because, word of mouth, like one guy would say, hey, you know what, this guy Pedge did this and this guy did that. And like I said, the guy Bosco heard about me. And he was like, yo, you're making money hand over fist. You're smart, bro. I respect that. So I would go, Bosco in 91, because he did a jury tampering case for John Gotti. He fled. He just took off. It wasn't really, the Mafia everybody was getting pinched. That was right before Gravano got pinched and all of that. So Bosco left. He had a casino already in Serbia. He had a casino and a nightclub. So he was a Serbian underlord, over there. He had his own crew. He was making hand over fist. He was also involved in a little narco trafficking. So I went over there and I saw him. He would put me on with other gangs and whatever. So while I was there, I was making a little money overseas. So that's when the whole thing happened with that guy getting killed and I took off, I would go see Bosco and be like, yo, can you give me some? Can you throw me a bone? Of course, he'd be like, yeah, sure. Boom. Go see this guy in Belgrade. Go see this guy in Vršac. Go see this guy in this other, town. Man, I'd make a little coin. My family didn't like it because there's a thing like when I walk in a room, I have a typical European swag of a gangster or a criminal or a ex-boxer or, karate dude. Everybody says it, like I don't walk like regular guys. When I walk in like I own the place. So Bosco took that to his advantage. So when I got over there, the guys in the street that were walking saw me walking. They were just like right away, like not questioning me. They were just like, you look like you could take care of yourself. I maybe got into 2 fights when I was back home, and basically I did my dirty pool and I was doing MMA before MMA was big. Like I did Hapkido, I did Muay Thai, I did jiu-jitsu. I was doing it. There was no UFC back then. The UFC was, I think it was the early 90s where they would put up people from different genres. Like, they would put a Kung Fu guy versus a Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy. It was a shit show. UFC wasn't what it is today. But yeah, so, I would do that and I'd make a few dollars while I was there. And then I'd come back and get my feet wet again here. And the job was always waiting for me. It was a union job. They couldn't fire me. As long as my job was done, I could take a leave of absence at will. So, once you get into the union, you could do stuff like that. So the job was my buffer. It kept $1,000 a week in my pocket, helped out my mom with the rent and whatever. But I was always trying to make some kind of a hustle. I got off on it. Like, honestly, being entrepreneurial as a kid, I had like 3-4 different businesses, and it got to the point where I wasn't doing anything. Like I had the guy tinting my windows, etching my windows for me, and I would just take the money. I wasn't even DJing anymore. I would just be like, send people out to DJ parties and stuff, and I would be taking money. And it was when I did a scam or a hustle or something and I made some money, I never did it too long. Something was always in my gut telling me after like 6 months, 8 months, like, yo, you're playing this out. You need to back the up. Right. There's guys that still do the same hustle like you were doing your hustle, and people just like a comfort, like, yeah, I could do this. I never got comfortable. Like 6 months, 8 months, I did cigarettes when cigarettes were like, they were taxing the shit out of them in New York, and Giuliani was like, you can't go to the Indian reservations no more, because I was going to the Indian reservations and buying 500 cartons at a clip. I would send 4 guys with vans and minivans and be like, here's the money, go buy 500 cartons, you know? And then he made a law, you can't buy anything over 300. So I'd be like, going in by 299, you know? And then I had guys going to Virginia, same shit, bringing them in, 299. If they get caught going over the bridge, well, it's not a federal offense. You're not, you know, trafficking the cigarettes, you know? You're not trying to avoid the tax thing. It's 299, you know? But yeah, I did a lot of crimes, a lot of things. Do I have regrets? Yes and no. Yes and no. I mean, I have regrets for the things I got caught. You know, I was stupid. There's a lot of things I don't have regrets. I just, you know, I kick back, have a few beers with my friends, and we relive these times. And I'm like, you remember that? And they're like, yeah, you were the shit. You know. It's something. I mean, being 54 years old now, it's like it's something to look back on. I wouldn't want my kid doing any of this shit, honestly. Like that's the reason I came to Florida, because you know, I was living in Jersey and then like getting divorced. It was just a shit show. I had to go back in the street. Now I was out of the life for a bit. I had to go back into the street to make a hustle because, you know, I didn't know what else to do. You know, I went back to Queens and I was like right back in the street. Like, tell my son, stay with grandma. I'll be right back. I come back with like 2,000-3,000. Like, I was just hustling again. And I got told, get the fuck out of here. Like, you, what are you doing? You've been clean all this time. Get out. I had people that liked me, you know, but it was.
It's gonna go bad eventually. It's just a matter of time.
Oh, I'll be honest with you. Back in the day, it was golden because there was no cameras. They couldn't tap into the ATM cameras. Nobody had cell phones. There wasn't the iPhone where you're committing a crime, you got a gun to somebody's head and they could take a picture, or you whack somebody, there's surveillance, there's a freaking Ring camera on somebody's house. Today, they will catch you quick.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you have to be super slick and you got to come up with something like, you know, something that you're going to bang out some money, but don't get greedy. Don't go banging out a lot like you did.
Well, I was going to say was it's funny because I was thinking this when you were talking. It's like you've got your regular job, but you're also doing stuff on the side. It's
always.
Like you don't
always,
like, to me, I've got $200,000-$300,000 in the bank. I'm still flipping properties. I'm still buying properties, renovating them, and selling them. Right. And it's like,
that's your thing. That's your gig.
But it's like, it's not even a scam. It's just because I always have to be doing, like, I can't imagine like working 40 hours a week and that's it. Like, what do you mean? What else do you do?
Yeah, you always got to be on the move.
Hang out with your kids and you do this and your family, and I'll be like, I could buy this house for $50,000 and I could this, you know, on the side, and I can. You know, which is probably why, you know, most of my family doesn't talk to me. But that's the point. But, you know, the point is that, you know, I had that, you know, you got that hustle drive where
I always had that hustle drive.
Yeah.
And coming here, the first 2 years, I was always on the hustle. Like, you know, I would like to look at $1 and see 10. You know what I mean? So like, but I don't know anybody here. Right. I don't know anybody here. There's nobody here that, like, there's not a go-to guy. I was the go-to guy in New York. You needed a car, you came to me. I knew chop shops. I knew, junkyards. I knew everybody for everything. I knew who can smelt gold down, who could cut diamonds. I knew everybody for everything. I was the go-to guy. That was my thing. I loved it when I went somewhere and somebody said, hey, what you got going on? And I'm like, well, what do you need? Right. Hey, man, we just got a score, you know, and they show me a diamond ring, and I'm like, oh, that's a nice rock. We can cut this into like 5 rocks. So, you know? So I'd be like, let me take it to my guy. And, you know, you got to trust me now. So I go to my guy, and my guy goes, oh, dude, I'll give you $20,000 for it right now. I call him up and be like, yo, my bad. He's only going to give you 15. I said, you know my cut. I mean, okay, guys, I shouldn't be saying this now because guys are going to be looking back and be like, what a scumbag, you know. But, yo, that's the part of the game, you know. I would never take anybody with me to go to my connect,
right?
Because I've gotten scumbagged in the past. I've gotten people that have taken me for a ride and went and undercut me and went straight, you know. But I mean, I've dabbled in everything. I dabbled in most of the guys that I dabbled with. Now they're all legit, you know. They all got legit what do you call them, smoke shops or whatever in the city. So they're all making hand over fist because it's all legal in New York. I don't know why anybody would be like doing illegal now. Like,
do you ever have anybody reach out to you and say, hey, I got this thing, I need you to?
And I'll be honest, in the beginning, it was like, you know, favors would get called in like, hey, Pedge, you know, you got to connect for this and this. I'd be like, yeah. And I'd be like, my head would just, the way you said in one of your podcasts, like, I'd be like, wow, my head would be like just figuring how I can make money. What, like it was just the excitement of it, like all over again. I get all tingly, but I'd have to pull the reins back, look at my kid and be like, I'm 50 something years old. I could go away for a long time. I could do the favor. So what I would end up doing is I'd reach out to my guy and I would just remove myself from the situation. From that equation, I would remove myself. So I would tell my guy, look, you want to bless me? You want to send me a little something from my kid? I appreciate it. If not, I'm out. You could have my connect. He's going to call you. Just call him on a burner and do what you need to do. And that was it. And once I started getting into that habit, it was easier to just separate myself from that life.
Right. And eventually, most of those guys get pinched anyway. So they're not reaching out to you as much as time goes on. So you get to remove yourself from this situation.
But it's also, there's a saying in Serbian, a face not seen is a face forgotten. So you're not in that life. You're not rubbing elbows with these people on a regular basis. You're not playing cards with them. They don't see you in the hood anymore. You're a face forgotten. So, I'd reach out to a couple of guys. Hey, what's up? They wouldn't have time for me.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, I'm doing something. I'll hit you up later. Yeah, never hit me up. So it kind of sucks. But then I have all these stories. I have all this,
It's for the better.
It really is. It really is. Because my kid, once we moved back to Queens and my son started to literally see what it was like. My son saw when we used to go see grandma. People would say, hey, Pedge, how you doing? This and that. My son got to see that. A few guys would come up and put a 50 on him and say, hey, good luck, kid. This is for you, like a little blessing. But once we had to go back to Queens and I'd go to like pizzerias and I would be ordering calamar, clams, calzones, nothing. Everything would be on the cuff. They would never charge me. Like, oh, it's good, Pedge. Don't worry about it. I would like $60, $70 worth of food. Pedge, don't worry about it. It's okay. I'd blow red lights. Cops would pull me over. I'd have like 18 PBA cards. I'd be like, here you go. Oh, yeah, I know who you run away. They'd let me go. They'd be like, just, don't go so fast. Don't go through the red light like that. Don't just blow it. My son saw this and he thought it was Grand Theft Auto. He thought it was Niko Bellic. Niko Bellic is a Serbian guy from Bosnia. So my son is like playing Grand Theft Auto going, Dad, are you this guy in the video game? And I'm like, what do you say to the kid? I'm just like, and then just so happens one day there's a block party down the block from the house. And an Italian guy turns the corner. And I've been telling my kid all these stories, like, about me and my past and everything. He's heard me talking to other people. And there was this guy, Joe. He was supposed to clip me. And he was supposed to clip me because this guy said, Pedge this and this, and he lied. And this guy just came. He was one of those shooter guys, and he just came. And he came into my bar, and I see him with the gun. I'm all like, yo, Joe, what are you doing here? And he's just like, Pedge, I don't know. I'm hearing words. This guy said this and this. I was like, you believe that? He goes, no, but I was told to come in. I was like, yo, do what you got to do because this is bullshit. This guy's lying. He's like, that's what I said. So we ended up having to sit down about that. But this guy came to whack me, came to clip me. So I told my son about this. This guy turns the corner. And then my son turns around. And this guy's talking to him going, this is your little man. Oh, my God, Mink. Yeah, starts hugging my kid. He goes, your father's a man of respect. He's a good man. Look up to him, And he gives him a little money. He goes, hey, good seeing you, Pedge. Kisses me on the cheek, takes off. I go to my son, Marco. I go, hey, see that guy? He goes, yeah. I go, that's the guy that tried to kill me. My son couldn't fathom why I was kissing this guy on the cheek. And I said, business is business. This is the life. Now, are you so happy about thinking that I'm Niko Bellic from Grand Theft Auto?
Right.
And then my son was like, no. I said, I have to look over my shoulder. I said, Marco, I'm going to be honest with you. We need to leave. We need to get the out of here. Pick a state. Of course, my son is going to pick Florida because we'd come here 3 times a year. It was me and him. It wasn't me and my ex-wife. Yeah, Disney. We'd go to Tampa. We'd go to the zoo. We would do everything. We go to the Space Center. It was always the same thing. And I bought a condo on Siesta Key. So my condo was my base of operations. Then I'd come and hang out in Tampa by my godfather's house. And then I'd rent a hotel in Orlando and I'd go and spend 5 days there and hit everything. Hit Hollywood Studios, hit Disney. My son loved it here. And he goes, Florida. It's like, I hate Florida. I said, but for you, my parents came to the United States for a better life. I said, for you, I'll do it. I go, plus I don't want you walking in my footsteps at all. And it was the hardest thing. I used to sit here and curse Florida. I used to be like, I hate it here because, going from that atmosphere where everybody, you were a wanted guy. Everybody loved you. Everybody feared you. I don't have that here. I walk down the street, I'm nobody.
Right.
First year I was here, skinhead and tried to step to me. Literally in the mall. Stepped to me, said some shit. Called me like a juice head or something. And I was like a little bit more jacked up than I am now. And I turned around, I was like, who the f you think you're talking to? The guy goes, oh, what are you going to do about it? He's got a Nazi swastika here. He's like tatted up. He's got at least like 7 inches on me, 30 pounds on me. And I'm just like, yo, I'm going to warn you right now. I know MMA. Second, I don't think you know who the f I am. And he's just like, pulls out a knife. I was just like he pulled out a knife. And I was just like, yo, for real? And I just go to swing on him. He starts running. His wife pulls out a box cutter and starts like swiping at my girlfriend. My girlfriend's taking a bag and she's just hit her with a Michael Kors bag. Bang, bang. I'm flying down the escalator. Yo, this is in the middle of the mall. And I'm just going like this. Now I'm in Florida. I said, call the cops. I was like, because I'm going to murder this guy. Like, call the cops before I murder this guy. I chase him out into the parking lot. Cops are there. 6 squad cars. And make a long story short, the cops are yelling at me. Because I'm going, yeah, you know what? If you want to come see me, I work at LA Fitness on 580. Come see me. And the cops are going, shut the f up. Because if this guy slips in the shower and bumps his head and dies, we're coming for you. And I'm just like, all right. And my son is watching this like nothing, you know. And my girl keeps trying to get him in between. And my girl's a little short, little stubby little girl, man. Tough. I pushed her. I flung her into Macy's. Like, my son was just like shaking his head going, don't f with my dad. My dad will fling you, like, you know. But yeah, I got tested when I was first here. It is what it is. I mean, now I've learned to control my temper, you know. It's like,
the thing is, here you'll never see that guy again.
No.
In New York, you might bump into him 5 times in the next 6
you
months.
will. Yeah, next time I got to take care of him, for real. Like, I got to bat him, shoot him, do something. But yeah, I mean, and now I carry a gun legit because, you know, my record's expunged and I'm all legit now. And, you know, it's funny. I used to pull out that gun so quick. Man, I don't even pull that shit out now. Like, for real. It's like, I warned the person, like, yo, back the I don't want any problems. Like, I had a few altercations in the gym where I'm like, yo, for real, I'll grab a dumbbell and crack you in the head. Like, do you know who I am? And here I am saying this, like, do you know who I am? I'm like, I'm nobody. Like, I was that person.
Right.
I just need to, like, yo, let's go outside and take care of it. I'll show you who I am. Now it's like I just kind of like ignore shit. Like, you know, I go to the gym, I get my swell on, my son works out with me. You know, it is what it is. I got some haters that talk some shit that I'm on juice. Like, for real, dude, if I was on juice, you don't think I'd be like 19, 20-inch arms? Like, for real? Like, it's insane, bro.
I was going to say, you're not? I mean, I'm
not. No, this is only 17.5-inch arms, but I was way bigger before.
I take tests. I mean, you know, got it from the doctor. You go in, they're like, they test your shit, and they're like, here, let me give you something.
Yeah.
You get older, and they'll, you know.
Yeah.
You're an older guy now.
I am.
You're my age. I was born in 69.
Me too, 69, bro.
Listen, everything's not. You go to the gym, and I hurt for 4 days afterwards.
Oh no, I used to be able to train like so intense. I cannot train intense. I've had 4 surgeries back to back. I've torn ligaments. I've torn like the tricep tendon. This was a bad surgery here in Florida. I had to get surgery 4 times. The guy screwed me up. The first time I went to another doctor, that guy screwed me up twice. Put in a screw. The screw was popping out of my skin. So I went to a guy in Tampa that does Navy SEALs. This guy goes, yo, listen. He goes, I'm going to cut you. I'll put a cadaver tendon in there. I'll stretch it out, all of this. He goes, you won't be 100%, but you'll be 75 to 80. I'm 75 to 80. I am. But I can't train intense. I used to be able to do like 120-pound dumbbells. Fuck. If I do 70s, and I do 70s for reps, I do like 35, 40 reps, sets of 4, you know. My son's pretty jacked up too, and everybody in the gym was saying shit like, I'm my son on juice. And I'm like, I don't. My son is stockier than me. Like, when I was my son's age, I was a crackhead. I was like so skinny. My son, very stocky, takes after his mom, very stocky, 5'7". He's kind of like your build, you know. But he works out. That's all he does. Comes with me, does the routine.
Wish I was 5'7".
You're not 5'7"?
No, I'm like 5'6".
Oh, 1 inch, right? Really?
Listen, it means a lot.
Put lifts in your shoes, man. I mean, that 1 inch.
That's with the lifts. You said, do I have regrets? Every once in a while, you'll talk to somebody and they're like, you heard, well, no, because it makes me the person I am today. Bro, come on, man. I did 13 years.
I'm going to tell you a quick story. Sorry to cut you off. No, I got a big regret. One regret I got, I shot a dude, all right? And my son was just born. And, you know, after my son coming into life, this was eating at me. This one specific guy he didn't have it coming to him. I wasn't drunk. It was over a card game. I just didn't like the way he was shuffling the cards. He was doing this the whole time. I was like, you're making me nervous. Stop doing that. Then he would like throw the cards and go, give me a new deck. This went on for like 3 hours, and I just, boom, did what I had to do. I went to go see my priest. I'm very kind of religious, if you can believe that, but I went to go see the priest, and I told the priest, I said, in our church, I'm Serbian Orthodox, so you got 2,000 parishioners, and then the priest goes, does anybody want to, confess? You have to go in front of everybody. He pulls up the cape, puts the cape over you, and you tell him what you did wrong. So I said, I shot a guy. He jerked the cape like this. He went like that. He looked at everybody like guilt on his face, like he did it. Now everybody's looking at me going, they know who the f- I am, and they're like, oh, what did he do wrong now? What is he trying to be like fucking forgiven about? Now everybody's like wondering, whispering, The priest goes, I want you to stay after Mass. I want to talk to you. All right. But before you leave, go put money on this icon, pray to this icon, give me 10 Hail Marys, give me 11 Our Fathers. I went there, I did all of that, I waited. He chewed my ear off, and he goes, you know what, you want to make this right with God? You really want to be forgiven? I said, yeah. I go, you know me. I don't have a care in the world. I don't care that I stole cars. I don't give a shit that I shot other guys in the ass. He goes, but this guy's sticking out to you. Yeah. Go find him. Go knock on his door. Ask for forgiveness. I said, are you nuts? I go, this guy's probably a made guy in the Gambinos now. He goes, you got to do it. I said, that's poking the bear the wrong way. I may not come out of this. He goes, that's the only way God will forgive you. Thought about it for a week. Found him. Went to Long Island, went to this big ass house. I'm like, this has got a Mercedes in the driveway. I'm like, this motherfucker's he's gonna cap me right here. Knock on the door, ring the bell, knock on the door. He opens, he comes like limping. Like, I see him through the thing.
How long had it been?
15 years. 13, 15 years.
Still limping?
Yeah, like.
That's not good,
I hit him bad. So, I heard in the street that like he's one leg is shorter than the other. So, make a long story short, like I always do, but he opens the door, his face just, dropped. He goes, fuck you want? I said, yo, this has been sitting on my conscience. It's been eating at me. I did you wrong. He just went, spat. Loogie. It was like right in my eye. I was like, I got to get an AIDS test after this. He did that, and he goes, you got a lot of balls coming to my house. You know who the hell I am? I said, well, if you were really somebody, I wouldn't be standing here. I said, I just wanted to, and he just slams the door. And I was just like, I'm going to need to go see my guy Bobby Glasses about this, because this could end up being really bad. Now, I poked this bear, And I came back. I went to go see Bobby, sat down with Bobby. He was a big guy in the Gambinos, Bobby Glasses. And Bobby was like, I'm going to reach out. I'm going to see if this guy wants to make a beef on this, He goes, it's been so long ago, I was like, but is he somebody? He goes, he's an associate. He makes money, but he was really scared of me. And I heard that he tried to get people to like off me, not to pay money, but like he was trying to pit people against me, like, oh, Pedge is this, Pedge is that. Yeah, Pedge shot me, but whatever the story may be. And nothing ever, came to fruition for him. And Bobby said, he's not going to bother you no more. He said it took a lot of balls for you to come there, but he doesn't forgive you. I said, but I got a kid now. I'm like looking over my shoulder. He goes, but why'd you go over there and poke that bear? I said, my priest told me, oh, you got a conscience now. I said, I don't know how to explain it. Like I said, I've done a lot of shit wrong. And maybe because I was drunk or I was high or whatever the story may be, I have no regrets. This one dude, it ate at me. It ate at me and ate at me. And I looked at my kid. And that's the real reason why I pulled out of that life. I had a little money on the street. I was doing a couple of scams, I did a couple of credit card things. I was going to AC banging out cards. I went to Vegas. I got jammed up there. But I was just like, you know what? I'm gonna stay with my kid. Like, and I raised my kid. My ex-wife was a horrible person. She got up after 30 days and went back to work. So I basically I was this kid's mother and father. And, having a kid with colic for 3 months crying on you, and the only way they could sleep is hearing your heartbeat, that just ate me to up.
If you sleep hot at night, you know how disruptive that can be. Whether you're having trouble falling asleep, you're waking up sweating in the middle of the night, or all of the above. That's where Ghost Bed can help. As the makers of the coolest beds in the world, Ghost Bed is your go-to for cooling mattresses, cooling pillows, and cooling bedding. From their signature Ghost Ice fabric to patented technology that adjusts to your body's temperature, every Ghost Bed mattress is designed with cooling in mind. So whether you want a plusher mattress that cushions your shoulders and hips or a firm option with exceptional support, your Ghost Bed will keep you cool and comfortable all night long. When you purchase a Ghost Bed mattress, your comfort is guaranteed. You can try out your mattress for 101 nights, risk-free, to make sure it's the right fit for you. Plus, they offer free shipping, and most items are shipped within 24 hours. If you're not sure which Ghost Bed is right for you, check out their mattress quiz. You'll answer a few questions and get a personalized recommendation. Even better, our listeners can get 50% off site-wide for a limited time. Just visit ghostbed.com/Cox and use the code COX at checkout. Again, that's ghostbed.com/Cox with the code COX at the checkout to save a whopping 50% off site-wide.
You know, like it was just like, I don't want this kid growing up like I grew up.
Right.
I don't want this kid walking in my footsteps. I don't want him to look up to me because I'm a gangster. I want him to look up to me because he looks up to me.
Right.
And he changed my life. And then that's why I said, let me get a house in Jersey. Let me move out of the neighborhood. Because I was told by Bobby Glasses, leave. If you leave this neighborhood, it's in your rear view. The further you can get away, the better. So I was 45 minutes to an hour away. You know, in the beginning, you come back to the neighborhood constantly. But if you got to keep driving, going into midtown traffic and all.
Well, like you said, you're not around, so you stop being involved in all that stuff. And
Exactly.
eventually-
Yeah, I mean, I had a couple of spots. You know, I was selling through barbershops. So I would just go and collect. After a while, I didn't even go collect. I had my mom collect. So I would be like, yo, mom, just, you know, my mom was like, what? I'm like, the guy's going to come and give you an envelope. Count the money. She'd call me out and be like, there's like 5,800 in one envelope and there's like 10,200. What are you doing? And I'd be like, shut the f up. Take 100 for yourself, you know, for counting, and take for groceries or whatever. You know, I'd try to, she was living in my building. It was rent free. So.
Right.
But, you know, once I was out there and I you know, teaching my son how to play sports, I had a big acre of land, big backyard, trampoline. Me and him would, it was just the best times of my life, you know?
Right.
And that was it. I stopped going. I got rid of the spots, sold them to some competitor. I was like, take them over, give me this much, you know, give me my tax, and that's it. I'm out, you know? And I just didn't do anything. But when I got divorced and I got cancer, colon cancer, I got diagnosed with stage 2 twice. I got a problem with polyps. They told me I got like fertile land inside of me, like where the polyps just grow. I'm a big meat eater, you know. I eat a lot of meat, and Serbians eat a lot of pork, a lot of beef, you know, just a lot of meat in general. And first time, stage 2, they pulled it out. Second time, stage 2, same place. It was as big as my pinky, like that. And he goes, you know, you need to do something about this. Change your diet. So I went from like 255, big as a brick shit house, and then I went down like 220. Just by dieting. Just like I had to like start eating more vegetables, salads, stay away from the red meat.
The look on your face is like salads, like you're disgusted.
Dude, I just look at salad and I get diarrhea looking at it. For real. And that's all it does, is it just cleans you the out. It's like I like a solid shit, so I like to eat a 2-pound steak, you know. But yeah, so I didn't go for my colonoscopy. I usually go once a year, once every 18 months. Came to Florida with my kid. We sold the condo on Siesta Key. Something was telling me I need to get rid of it because I kind of smelt my ex-wife there was something brewing. Caught her cheating. So I got rid of it just in the nick of time. Did a little under the table jam with a guy, you know. So she don't know about that. You bitch. And yeah, so yeah. And then I went to the doctor. Like I was feeling something was off. Like I don't. They say that you know when you get the big C, you know, whatever.
Right.
I was just feeling something was off. Wasn't feeling right. I went to the doctor. They did the colonoscopy. His face was a little different. Like usually when I wake up after a colonoscopy, he usually zips his pants and goes, "Hey, that was fun." You know, great doctor. You know. This time there was no zipping up the pants. There was no joking with him. You know. Right. And I was just like, "Yo, what's up?" You know. And he goes, "Come to my office." So I leave that room. I go to the office. He goes, "I don't like the way it looks." He goes, "But it looks like stage 3. I go, "What?" He goes, "It's a proplastic tumor, meaning it's like a mushroom." He goes, "Usually tumors grow like a nub." He goes, "And it spreads." He goes, "Yours grew a neck and the thing just blossomed like a mushroom." I said, "And?" He goes, "I got most of it out and I did some biopsies around, but I'd like to see you in 3 months. I want to go back in." If not, we're going to have to cut you surgically and remove like 8 inches of your intestine. Yeah, so that's a great way to go home with this. So now I'm sweating the biopsy. He calls me and he goes, I was right. He goes, stage 3. So I go, what do we do? He goes, I want you to come in a little sooner than this. And I went in again, put me under. I was bleeding how much he was biopsying me and whatever, but he kept pulling and pulling. He was right next to my appendix. And he was pulling and pulling. He goes, I pulled so much. He goes, you're bleeding, but I got it. He goes, and we're gonna biopsy those 30 pieces. Came back, gone. It's there, but it's malignant. He got it. Luckily, the way it grows, the blood is given the top of it, to survive the blood. That was the cancerous part. It didn't go and start to spread yet because it usually goes that way. And that's what he was telling me. So he goes, I need you to come every 3 months, but I want to send you for radiation therapy.
I was just going to say, do you have to take chemo or anything
they sent me. I went to this place in Jersey, St. Joseph's. It's a cancer place. And I went there alone, no ex-wife. She didn't come with me. My son was devastated because, I had to tell my son because, what do? You got the apple of your eye here. You know what I'm saying? You got this new life. And I was just like, I was bewildered. I was shocked. I didn't know I didn't know if I was going to live. And I didn't want my son seeing me wasting away from being this big powerhouse to being, AIDS patient. So, I don't know. It's just really, I'm just holding it back.
All right.
It was just really devastating for me. All right. And I went through 6 sessions of chemo. They would give me an injection. They would put this machine on me, kind of like a x-ray machine, and it would thump and whatever for like 15 minutes. And I had to put this, the thing in my vein, and started getting this metal taste after the 2nd, 3rd. By the 4th, I was like, that's all I tasted was metal. I didn't have a taste for food because everything tastes like tinfoil. Everything. Even if I wanted to like drink chocolate milk, didn't taste like chocolate milk. It tastes like metal and something thick, And I went in for another colonoscopy. They did oncology tests. They said there's nothing in my bloodstream. There's no markers. There's no nothing. But I got to go constantly every 6 to 8 months to get another colonoscopy to make sure there's no polyps growing or whatever. And at the same time, I find out my ex is cheating. So I kind of flipped out. And I'm going to leave that at that because that kind of opened up a can of worms about my past, and I kind of did some stupid shit.
How long ago was this?
2014.
Okay.
Actually, 2013 is when it all started happening. 2014, it was just, I already confronted her in 2013, and I said, I want you out. I want you to get the out of here. And she was begging me, like, for my son, whatever. And I didn't want my kid growing up the way I grew up in a divorce house. And I said, look, I could forgive you, but I can't forget. I said, but this motherfucker that you cheated, I'm going to put him in early retirement. I'm going to take care of him. She's like, no, this, that. And she said she was going to try. You don't forgive people when they do some shit like that. When they do you dirty like that, walk away.
Right.
Because once they do it dirty and they see that they got away with it and you forgave them, they'll do it again. Little in 6 months, she was doing it again. Where I was putting spy gadgets in her car, and microphones, key loggers. I was living just to catch her. And when I caught her, it was constantly like just us bickering. And then she was just yelling at me in front of my son and spitting on me. And I was just like, do I now beat the shit out of her in front of my kid? Then she tried to throw cases on me. She'd call the cops and be like, he hit me. She had a mark here. And the cop was like, well, how the is that mark from him hitting you? And I go, yo, that's a defensive wound, because I was grabbing her like this while she was clocking me in the face. Look at my face. And my son is right there. My son's going, yeah, my mommy hit my daddy. But the cops, motherfuckers, the next morning, they waited. I went to go take my son to school, and they just stormed me. In this little town of 2,000 people, the whole police force for that town stormed me. And the cop that arrested me was like, get against the car. And I did. I didn't resist. But the other cop was talking to my son and like literally going, your daddy's a bad man. He's going to go to jail. How do you talk to a little 9, 10-year-old like that?
Right.
I lost my shit. I just, I don't know how I wrestled my hand away, jumped over the hood, started jumping on this cop. They were pulling me off. They arrest me. I'm screaming, you don't know who the I am. Meanwhile, the cop's already Googling my name, and he goes, your name keeps coming up, Pedgetattoos and this, and you ran with the Giannini crew, you ran with this one, you ran with that one. How come you don't have an arrest record? I was like, my friend, good lawyers. And I'm like boasting. I'm sitting there in lockup boasting to this guy. And long story short, I spent some time in there. She didn't want to bail me the out. And my son was begging and begging, days of begging, please, mommy, take my money from the bank. We had a little account for him set up. And she was like, no, no, no. And he was begging. And I said, how could you make this kid cry? Just bail me out. I'll go to Queens. I'll go live with my mom. So she bails me out. Now child welfare services get involved because we did this in front of our kid.
Right.
And we got them coming to the house saying, I can't be in the house. I have to have a police escort in and out. So I go, okay, fine. So I go grab my kid. The cop goes, no, the kid stays here. I said, no. I said, kid goes with me. My ex goes, yeah, the kid has to go with him because that kid won't stay with me. I didn't raise him. She said that on record in front of child welfare services.
Right.
So then we had to come to an agreement where we went to counseling. That didn't do shit, you know. It's beyond repairable now. It's just done.
Yeah, I was gonna say the animosities. That's not.
Oh, dude, it was two ships passing in the night saying "f you" to each other. Like Pirates of the Caribbean. F you, just passing each other. I don't even like talking about it because it was such a horrendous period, and my son hates his mother and hates all that shit that she did and put. I was trying to do an opposite and raise him a different way, and it just looks like the ball rolled in that circle that I was raised in. I gave up. Let the bank take the house, didn't pay the mortgage, didn't pay for jack shit. She tried to be friendly, which was bewildering to me. Like, hey, comes gives me a kiss, like to see the kid. I'm just like, yo, what? I was like, don't come kiss me. Like, what do you? God knows where your mouth has been, And she's just like, well, I'm trying to be cordial in front of the kid. I go, you didn't think about that when you were spitting on me and yelling and saying I'm a thief, I'm a bum, I'm a gangster. I said, you didn't think about that then, right? And she's just like, whatever it was. I went back to Queens, and she knew that when I was in Queens, she was powerless. She'd come by the house to see the kid. The kid wouldn't want to see her. Marco, my son, would just be like, I don't want to talk to mom. And I'd be like, you have to. And she'd be like getting all tizzy, and I'd be like, you know where you are, right? I was like, I make one phone call. It's done for you. And then one of my friends happened, this gangster drove by. He hates her. He drove by, and Johnny DeSantis, he drives by. My cell phone rings, and I'm like, hey, what's up, Johnny? And he's just like, was that your ex? He's like, why is she talking to you in front of your house? And I'm like, Johnny, I don't know. She wants to see the kid. Her. She lost privileges to Marco. If I turn this Corvette around, I'm like, okay. Like, that's how it was,
Right.
So, for that 1 year, I was doing what I was doing. But I was, like I said, 6 months, and I just like, I have to get out of Dodge. I can't do this. And then we came here. I met a girl in the process, which I didn't want to meet nobody. I'm sitting in front of the school where I'm picking up my son.
This is up there?
Up there in Queens, okay. Yeah. And I'm talking to this other Serbian gypsy girl, and here comes my now girlfriend. She walks in front. I kind of like cock block her, like to talk to this other girl. And she goes, look at you. And I'm like, well, what do you want, And she's like, who the f*** you think you are? And I'm like, you don't know who the f*** I am? This one's going, he's Pedgetattoos. Everybody knows him, him. Like, I was like, f*** you, And the next day, this girl goes, hey, she's interested in you. I was like, well, she was cursing me out. How's she interested in me, And we started talking on the phone, and it was one of those, we got on the phone, we couldn't get off.
Right.
And she'd come by my house. She had a problem. She was still with her ex-husband. And I was like, you need to get rid of your man. I can't do that. I'm not a person to break up a marriage. You got to think about your kid first. I'm thinking about my kid. She just came around as a friend, and she finally tried to get rid of him, and we hooked up. Kicking the ass is that I'm friends with her family. Like, me and her dad go back in the day. She's 36 years old, so she's way younger than me. So me and her dad go way back. So there's kind of an embarrassment coming into the house as now, her boyfriend,
Right.
Because I'm the same age as her mom. So it's just kind of like, a really awkward situation, but they accepted me. They're great people, and I'm with her, and she stood by me all this time. She knows my past. She knows who I was and what I'm about. And she still knows that I'm capable of going to an extreme. Like if somebody touches my family, like God forbid somebody touches my son, I'd go to prison. That's a given. That's a given. You know what I mean? But I don't stick up for my friends no more like I used to. I've taken bullets for my friends. I've been shot. I got jigged over here with a bottle of Corona. I got in the back in the kidney. I got in crack with a bat in a bar fight. We get outside. This guy just pulls out a bat. I turn around. bang, right, split my wig. I just laid on the floor. I saw stars. I couldn't get up. And I just see the guy going to hit me again, and my friend just comes over, boom, shoots him right in the shoulder. Guy goes down. I grab the bat. You want to hit me with a bat? You know, there's stories. I mean, I got tons of stories, but I'm saving a lot of my stories for my book. But I gave you some really gisty stories. You know,
What are you? Have you completed?
No, I've always started to write, and it's like I've been reading up that when you want to write a book, you need to every day set aside half an hour to 1 hour. You need to write regardless, and you need to be relentless about this. And no matter what the ideas are, just jot them down, jot them down, jot them down. My girlfriend goes, "Why don't you do that chat, whatever GPT, AI thing?" Yeah. GPT, yeah. And I said, because it's not going to sound like me. No. I'm going to tell it to write about me and give it a couple of stories, and it's going to make me out to be like some Harvard, you know.
Well, and it also sounds, it
just sounds fake.
Well, it generalizes.
Yeah.
It gives very general. It doesn't know what
exactly.
You know.
So Punch has been pushing, and I was just like, you know what, because when he heard my podcast, he goes, man, the stories you tell remind me of shit, and you planted the flag, and you know, he goes, did you read my book? I'm like, yeah, I read your book. I read it twice back to back. You know, Stealing Manhattan, awesome book. Get your book now. Right. But yeah, I mean,
have you written an outline?
You know, I've started.
This is sounding worse and worse.
I have a spiral notebook where I started doing it, and I get sidetracked. I started doing themes for the podcast, like, because I want to do a podcast with my son. And I start writing ideas, and I do these things where I do imitations, I do jokes. I get stuck on one imitation. I'll do it for like 2 weeks. Like I walked around the house like 2 months ago doing Bane. You know, like so we watched Dark Knight, and I'm just walking around the house going like, you know, Gotham City, you know. And then my son would be like, can you shut up? Now my new thing is, since this thing is going on in Israel, every time I hear Hezbollah, I go Hezbollah, you know. And it's just, I go through the house, and my son is just like, this is annoying. To the point that everybody doesn't laugh anymore. They're just like, can you bury it? So that's when I bury it, and I go work on my next, you know, imitation. So I was doing that, but I have about 300 pages that I did write. I just have to make sense of them, because there's days where I write eloquent. My ideas come out so perfect. They're run-on sentences. I need to go over it. But then there's like quick story. Talking to a guy, Mark Terragrossa. He was from my past. He did 9 years. He was involved with this kind of thing with Frankie, where, you know, they came to him while he was locked up, and they said, hey, we're going to put you on this. You were there, even though you weren't there. You knew about it, like you premeditated it, you knew it. So we're going to throw that predicate on you, and you're going to get hit with 20 years. He didn't even get a chance to finish his 9 years. So he was just like, what do you want me to say? What exactly happened? He said what he had to say. They released him. Frankie gets pinched. So Mark went and did a podcast, and Mark was mentioning me, and he was saying some stories. I literally forgot that I got high with Robert Downey Jr.
Right.
Totally forgot. We were in the Hamptons. We drove up there, like 4 or 5 of us, and Robert Downey Jr. is a little VIP thing. And we're drinking, and we're like, hey, can we take a picture with you? And he happens to notice that I'm doing, this. He's like, hey. I'm like, yeah. He was like, do you have? I'm like, yeah, sure, let's go to the bathroom. Go to the bathroom. We made a deal that night. He goes, well, how much do you have? And I said, well, I have this much. He goes, oh, shit, you're going to be with me all night. So hanging out with him, getting high, he's got an open bar tab.
Right.
He lets us go back to his house that he rented in the Hamptons. He leaves at 11 o'clock in the morning because he's got to fly out to California. We're still in his freaking house. Like, the guy's like, oh, you can stay as long as you want. I forgot that story because I was in a high, drunk stupor. Mark brings it up, and I'm like, but yo, we have pictures of that. I remember now. Mark's like, yeah, we do have pictures. You have them. I'm like, where the f are they? He goes, you got to look. So I tore my house up looking through boxes of photos. I lost a lot of photos in Sandy in New Jersey. I got flooded. My basement got flooded. And I lost a lot of precious pictures. That's one of them. That would have been a great like story. And, you know what I'm saying? Like maybe even Robert would remember that, you know, because bunch of wise guy kids from the neighborhood in the Hamptons, you know, this was when he had that little space between his teeth and all of that. You know, it was the early 90s.
Pickup artist.
Yes. Less Than Zero, where he had you know.
That was a disturbing movie.
So, I mean, I got a lot of stories, and I don't want to put, like, you know, reading Pavlov's book, you know, Punch, he kind of left off the book where there's going to be a part 2. You could feel it. The minute you end that book, you're like, this book isn't done, you know? So I don't want to do a part 1, part 2. I would rather do like we just did this, Came to America, and just write like each chapter for a part, like a little, whatever, 5-6 years. Because there's a lot of dark stuff that I didn't touch on that I still carry. Like, I carry that stuff about my dad. I carry the stuff about my mom. I was always alone. You know what I'm saying? So now that I got my son is my best friend. He makes me a better person. He's always the one telling me, let the guy go. Don't pull him over. Like, I know you can kick his ass, so just let it go. It's not you anymore. And I got to do it. I mean, and I let it go, but old habits are hard to break. And if I could break the habit of not being in a life, I could break the habit of not knocking somebody out for looking at me the wrong way. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's a hard thing. But my whole thing is like, I started doing podcasts to kind of like lay this out, let people know that, I didn't have a father figure. If you could stay in school, stay in school. If you could like try to tiptoe around the law the best you can, do it. Everybody's going to break the law a little bit. You know what I mean? But, just try to stay out of trouble. I mean, you did time. I never did any serious hard time, but I've paid for it in other ways. Right. Like I've pissed away so much money, and I was just thinking about it the other day. At a given time, a given year, I was blowing on a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday like $5,000 to $10,000, for the whole weekend. Just going out to titty bars, hanging out with guys, rubbing elbows, trying to make a connection. Like 6 months of spending money to make 1, 2 maybe connections, to have another connection for cars or for gold or for watches, and it doesn't pay. The money comes and the money flows through your. It's like having a basket that's weaved. You pick up the water, it just comes out. It doesn't stay.
It's a lot of money, but you're still going paycheck to paycheck.
I mean, look, I'm lucky. I'm at a point. I had a lot of real estate. I lost everything. I liquidated a lot of shit. I got rid of everything. I had to give that one apartment building I had in Queens. I had to give half to my ex. She didn't deserve it, but it is what it is. I can't sit there and say, well, I made it from illicit gains.
Right.
So whatever. I gave her half. Shame on her, because that would have been my son's. It wouldn't have been mine. I would have kept it for my son, but it is what it is. I got a few watches out of the deal. I got some great stories. I got a lot of ink. I got a great kid, and I'm good where I'm at now in life.
All right. All
cool
right.
Beans, man.
I was hoping we were gonna leave it off with the guy opening the door and saying, I forgive you, I understand, and you guys were gonna have a big hug.
Hey, if it
didn't work out that way.
If it was me, I would have did the same thing.
Like I'm sitting there, like I'm waiting for the thing, and I was like, yeah, that's not where we're ending this. Like this is horrible.
No, my stories don't ever end like that, man. I'm sorry, man. My stories are real.
All right. Listen, I really appreciate you coming by. And
Thank you. I appreciate it. It was a blast coming here.
Yeah. Hey, I appreciate you guys watching the interview, checking out the podcast. Thank you very much. Please do me a favor, subscribe if you like the video, hit the bell so you get notified, leave a comment. We're going to leave some links in the description box. Really appreciate it. See ya.